Hello and welcome to I'm gonna be honest, not a happy episode of Bodied, a Cloud9 fan cast. I'm your host Havokpus. I'm joined by Frozencreek, and are you mad, Frozencreek? Are you as upset as I am?
I am certainly upset. It was not
This was
our
not a
best
good
week.
weekend.
It was not our best week. So I will I I will try to stay on topic and not get pissed off about everything because I'm not as pissed off as I was on Sunday because I was actually kind of mad then.
I'm angrier. I boiled. I have cooked in the oven that is my own hatred, and I am at a piping hot 170 degrees of rage internal temperature.
Is that Kelvin?
No, that's Fahrenheit.
Celsius, okay.
Uh, Anyway, I guess, but before we talk about all the bad losses, I did want to talk about a good loss. And it was the Halo team played in another round of like the Halo 5 Pro Series. And they got all the way to the finals, and they lost in like a really close like game 5 against Inconceivable. Um, and it sucks that they lost, but I was really glad that the games were actually streamed for once. Like, I don't know what it is about the Pro Series and how they like run things. Our games are rarely ever streamed. Like, if I'm finding out that Halo is playing, it's usually like, oh, also they're off stream, and they just don't. I just don't see them. I don't see how they do. So it was good to see our team play for once, and it was good to see us make it to the finals. We usually finish around top four, but it was nice to see us. We were really close. The team played their hearts out, and I wanna commend them for for playing so hard and almost getting there.
Yeah, it was going on at the same time as something else. I don't remember what it was though, so I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I'm glad that they did end up doing well then.
Yeah, it was a really close game. I was really upset that they lost. They were playing really tough, and I think that everyone should be give them some congratulations or whatnot for just a hard fought match. But moving on to what really makes me angry, and the first thing, Frozen, CS:GO it's in the toilet.
Yeah, they. I watched yesterday's match. Yesterday meaning Tuesday. I was not impressed.
It's just kind of uh, I'm just really upset because this has been like an ongoing problem for the past like 2 years. Like, past the major, the only roster that we fielded that was good was the one with automatic Keo and Flusha. That was when I felt that, like, okay, we can compete against like the top 10 teams. We're competitive. We had like strategic thinking. Everyone was able to hit their shots. Everyone was able to do like the aim duels. We looked good then, and then it just completely fell apart. We could not field a roster to save our lives. We got the ATK roster, thinking that, like, okay, we'll build this team upward. They have a lot of higher potential, and they were doing okay for a little while, but then they just stagnated into mediocrity. They weren't winning anything. So they're like, okay, we secured a lot of money. We're gonna go for broke. We're gonna get this all-star roster. Henry has secured Kassad as like this coach. He's very well like touted as being like this amazing coach. We have Esatag, we have Waxic, we brought over Floppy. We got Alex, who everyone was saying was a really good IGL on Vitality, and we brought in Mezzi, who is this rookie who's hopefully, he has such crazy potential that he's gonna eventually be just an all-star, just like everyone else on the team. That didn't last long either. We only had a few events with Waxic, and then he just left. Um, and we brought in Zeppa, to be fair to Zeppa, Zeppa has been fantastic. I like Zeppa. Does a great job of playing, but how everyone else is playing, just I think not so much individually maybe, but more so as a team, is just awful. We lost our coach. I don't know what Elmaputty's doing. I think some of it has to be with us experimenting with roles and just not knowing who will be in what role. But it's you can't lose to the teams that we have lost to in the DreamHack close qualifier and especially the Snow tournament where it was a bunch of like teams I've never heard of. You know, we're just playing awful. We're not qualifying for tournaments that we're invited to participate in these qualifiers. We're not competing against any of the other top teams at any sort of metric. I just don't know what to do anymore, Frozen.
Yeah, I think in hindsight, it would have been a good idea to take some time off from CS:GO and like re regroup as like the pandemic was ending, and then find a team that you can bring together at that time. I'm not sure why they felt the need to spend so much like at that time on a CS:GO Go roster when like Valorant was up and coming, and like there's a lot of people in LA that you can recruit, or like around in America that you can bring in. And in hindsight, it just feels weird that they picked a bunch of Europeans, two Americans, and told them to play together from
Well,
different
the reason for
countries and
Europe is
stuff.
that the European scene is just so much stronger. Like the NACS scene is essentially dead. There's almost no teams there, and the teams that are playing, like you have, I think it's like two maybe three strong NACS teams, and essentially like they will hold on to their players for dear life until like their contract's up, and they're like, I don't want to renegotiate, I don't want to resign, I want to like field offers. And that's kind of how it is. So Europe has more players. I think maybe there might be maybe like a ping thing where ping is better there, but there's more players, there's more people that are interested in CS over in Europe, because at least in North America, at least to my knowledge, I don't really know anyone who's like, oh yeah, I'm really big into CS. Like that's just not, a thing. So I think it's a lot of more like cultural kind of differences, and that's why, and a lot of the really good players are from Europe, so that's why I think we went there. But I think my thing is just, you spent all this money to field this roster just to flounder and fail, just like you did with your previous roster, and your hodgepodges before that. I just don't see the point anymore. I'm more and more as I see Cloud9 kind of fail and try to pick themselves back up and fail again at CS:GO and not really accomplish anything, and not even win tournaments. I would just like us to make it to semifinals in a tournament, to qualify and then make it to semifinals in a tournament. If he could do that, I'd be fine, and I'd say like, yeah, keep running this. But we're not even hitting that, and more I'm just saying like, just get rid of CS:GO, just pull out of the scene completely. It's becoming, I think, more of a burden. You're wasting all this. You just wait. You're wasting a lot of money. You're trying to, I think, be in a game that honestly I think is on the way out, considering Valorant seems to have a lot higher engagement, and I think with how Valorant's marketed, and especially with how Riot does their games, and they're able to update the game frequently, and it seems like they actually care about the state of their game and from a competitive standpoint. More and more CS players are just moving over to Valorant. I don't see the point in staying in CS:GO anymore. I don't know if you could really argue with me outside of maybe CS is still one of the biggest esports, and it is really fun to watch. Outside of that, I don't think you can really convince me that like C9 needs to stay in CS:GO, and it's something that we need to hold on to.
I feel like that Oda, we should have just gone about it a different way this time. Like, or we tried to, but it just wasn't a very good time to spend all of that money, because you can't just up and move people from five different countries during a pandemic. So it was just weird timing to splurge all of it, I guess. And maybe once it lands started again, they'll be better. But I can't imagine that it's gonna be like a massive change in how they play from online to LAN.
No, yeah, I think that like the benefit of LAN is that you don't have to deal with any ping. Um, but I think that there's still like the teamwork factor. In watching us play together, it just seems like we're all kind of trying to do our own thing individually. we're not like it just doesn't feel like we have like any one set strategy. It's kind of like two people are going to try to do one thing, a couple other people are going to try to do like another thing that is at least somewhat adjacent to what the first two were doing. Um, but it just doesn't feel like we're really doing all that much. We also just have some coin flip players. Floppy and Mezzi seem to kind of be, if they're on, they're doing really good, and they're helping us at least win games in a best of three series. But when they're not, it's just like, you're playing at reduced capacity, and I think Esatag is more of a rifler too, and he's having to play this off role as an opera, which he's been doing well at. He's been hitting shots, but it must be like, really awkward for him to have to play in this role that he's really not used to, and maybe doesn't really want to do. Um, I know the GM Henry is he's very upset. He's very displeased, as he should be. I can't really say what's gonna happen to the team, like like in 3 months. Are they gonna still be together? Or are we gonna just try to clown car it and have a revolving door of just people coming in and out as stand-ins to try to see what can work, or just completely blow up the roster and just try to get 5 new people again? Who knows? But I can definitely say that I'm not like super excited anymore. And I'm really disappointed because when we were building this roster, I really bought into it because Henry was saying all of these like, he was just banging the drum and he was saying how like, oh, this is gonna be this colossus of a team and we're gonna fucking stun on everybody and we're gonna crush everybody because we're assembling this like all these big names and all these like really strong talents, and when you put them all together it makes this CS:GO Voltron that's going to like just be unstoppable. And he's like just kept hyping people up more and more and more, and then just for it to completely topple over is just so upsetting. Especially I think after being a fan for a while and this just happening over and over again. I think it just doesn't have me really that interested in CS:GO anymore.
Yeah, like it's not a must watch for me in anymore, but I was not ever like a huge CS:GO guy, but the one that they had automatic and who was on that championship team
It was automatic,
again?
Stewie,
Stewie, yeah.
Skadoodle, Tarek, and Rush.
Yeah, Rush and
They were
Stewie.
they were fun to watch. I
Yeah, they
think
were.
even with just automatic on the team, uh, he still made CS:GO at least fun to watch. But I think that there's not really a fun factor anymore, especially with just the total stagnation in quality of our matches. It's definitely gone back on the back burner for me. But I've kind of ranted and rambled enough about it. We can move on to talk about League of Legends. C9 Amateur is in the losers bracket for the Giant Slayers Proving Ground qualifier. They play Golden Guardians Academy.
Yeah, and that is actually happening while I upload this podcast. So it'll probably be done before this gets posted because I'll probably do it in the morning. Sorry, I'm slacking, but we do not know the results of that yet. But they
Hopefully they
lost.
win.
Yes, they lost to Wildcard Gaming, who is a random startup team that did not compete into the Grand Prix. So this was their first event, their first like tier 1 event, and they are currently beating Revival.
Isn't that High's esports company
Oh,
that he runs? Or is
maybe,
that something different? I can't remember. I think it started with an
maybe
R
I'm
though.
gonna look.
Um, but yeah, the good thing about Wildcard, which I like, I don't recognize any of these player names, which is great. Anytime I see players doing well on a team and I don't recognize a single name, that's a big thumbs up for me. Because that's what personally I think that's what the amateur scene should be. It shouldn't be, oh well, you got Zazel here. It's just like, why is Zazel here? you know, him and it's like
Yeah,
you
or
should be playing with like
contracts
him and
or
Dokla and Tuesday or whoever, and you can't really. I feel like you can't call that like an amateur team. Just from like
yeah,
a skill disparity level.
yeah.
Uh,
It's weird,
but
but Sorry, continue.
No, I was just say, it's just really nice when it's new shiny faces kind of being on the screen, and everyone's like, "Ooh, who's this? Who's this guy? What does he play? How does he do?" So it ups the entertainment factor for sure.
Yeah, and then I'm not exactly sure what place we actually need to finish,
I think,
but
don't we have to make like maybe like top four
oh, we
or
need to get
top two?
top 8. Sorry, top 4. Yeah,
Yeah.
top 4 advanced to proving ground, and then if not, oh, we go to the third tier 1 tournament,
Okay. Well,
which is
hopefully we
probably like
can.
in a week or two.
Yeah, hopefully we can at least qualify. I know amateurs kind of been off and on, which I think is understandable. I really don't have much criticism for it because it's an amateur team. They should be struggling like this, right? That's the whole nature of this kind of area. I just want them to improve. I think if Captain Shrimps, I think is probably the most standout player, and he's probably on a really nice trajectory. Um, so hopefully they all do well. I'm gonna be rooting for them when their game starts. So yeah,
Yeah, so keep an eye out on that. If they win, just Google Giant Slayer Gauntlet 2021 Spring, and there's a Gamepedia page about it. That's pretty accurate. So you can find out a ton of information there.
yeah. But moving on to LCS and what was probably, at least so far this season, probably our worst week. Even though we did beat FlyQuest pretty handily, and I don't think we really need to talk about that game because it was such a.
Did they ever like say anything about that Aurelia bug? Because it
Yeah,
seemed like a ton of speculation to me.
so they
rather
did. So
than
they
a
did.
hard.
So they said that since it was a known bug, I think they notified FlyQuest of the bug beforehand. I think it's also, since it's a bug that only affects the user of the champion and not the enemy. They thought that it was okay to keep playing the game and not something that was going to really affect play, since it would only essentially affect Azir, since he would be moving people back. If it doesn't move people back, that doesn't really. It only hurts the user, and since the user knows of the bug, it's kind of like, well, it's your own fault. You chose a champion that has bug in it. You know, which I kind of understand, but it's still kind of weird that the bug happened and nothing was like done to kind of intervene.
Yeah, it sounded like Fox didn't quite know what to do, whether he should call a pause or not, and then just didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably should have.
Yeah, he definitely should have, I think.
Even if it was like a known issue, like if you're unsure, I feel like that's a time where you
Yeah,
can
yeah. Yeah,
make
just to
that
at least
call.
reset your mental, to just be like, wait, what happened? I had him, you know, just to maybe do that. It was kind of weird, but it was a good game. I think Perks did some trolling in that game, which he, I guess to be fair, did that throughout the weekend. Uh, but everyone, for the most part, just kind of steamrolled them so early on that FlyQuest didn't. We beat them in 23 minutes. That's really good. Blabber was just he didn't get any kills, but he got 8 assists just because he was always there to fight. So I think that we played really well. But I guess for like a weaker opponent like FlyQuest, that's really to be expected.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add because it was such a
No, yeah, me neither.
golf in class.
But the TSM and Team Liquid matches, we have a lot to probably say.
Oh wait, one more thing.
Okay.
I think it was Friday. Did you see the TSM account tweet?
I did.
That was probably the biggest.
It was so
whoopsie
dark.
I've ever seen. I mean, I laughed, and it would have been funny if somebody like put it into their subreddit,
No, yeah.
but not from the official account.
No, yeah,
That was
yeah,
a big oopsie.
from like an official like org standpoint, like that's not professional and you shouldn't do that. If it was like a social media, if it was like someone who worked for like their content team or something, right? Or like a player and they posted it, it maybe would have been a bit better. Uh,
Yeah.
but it was still kind of you know, it was probably something that's like, well, you really should tweet that.
Yeah, so if you missed it, the TSM account, the actual verified TSM account, posted a version of the "Are you winning, son?" meme, and it was as opposed to the kid saying yeah, he was hanging himself because of
How
that.
badly they got beaten.
Yeah, so it was pretty classless from them.
It was a pretty dark joke.
Yeah, but yeah, I do not post those memes, but if I did, I I I found a good time to post one on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, that would have been that definitely could have been a good like little quick edit if you kind of swapped out the teams logos. The Saturday and Sunday games I think were just really frustrating because looking at the games, we had like really controlling leads in the early game. You know, we were playing really well in the early game. Like Sven's lane was just smashing it in terms of CS. You know, we were controlling the map really well. You know, like the Team Liquid game especially, we were playing it like really, really intelligently, and it was really close for a long time. Um, but I think that the issue is, you know, we have Caitlyn, but we don't have any frontline to soak, so she can free fire. You know, we never drafted any kind of tank line for her, and we didn't do anything in the mid game. You know, it was we did things early, and then everyone was just like, all right, well let's just clear these waves out and make sure we have like a pretty neutral map state, and we did that, and pretty much nothing else.
Yeah, and Kaylin's supposed to like auto win lane in anyway, so like it, she fulfilled her role, but it was just like a weird game where they just didn't do anything until they wanted to end the game away for some
Yeah,
reason. Like Perks got caught out at least once.
he got out more than once.
Fudge got outplayed, and then they just kind of lost, or they lost on the game that way as opposed to like uh, losing as a team. Like
Yeah, I'm not sure if they just felt
it's
that they weren't
disappointing to
at
watch.
good power spikes. I think that in the Team Liquid game, especially, like I think they were definitely on a timer because, like, I think if they pushed the issue and they fought well enough, you could definitely beat Team Liquid's comp, right? But that's if you don't let Tristana scale, and that's if you don't let Gnar and Skarner get to like the ultra tanky mode that they got in that game because you didn't do anything. Um, you know, so I think that in the Team Liquid game, I think C9 was trying to be too careful, you know, because it was a big match. You know, you don't want to throw away a big match like that. And I think that's maybe at least a little understandable. But I think the TSM match, I think that's where I got really frustrated and upset with that because there were multiple times where Fudge was just getting like 3 or 4 man dove, and then we just did nothing to answer. You know, like you could take a tower, you could take a neutral objective while like Fudge is being just completely like trained on, but instead you're just like, oh well, it looks like Fudge is dead again. There's 4 top lane. Oh well, you know, and you do nothing for it. You know, Perks' Victor pick was also kind of useless. I'm not sure what the real reasoning behind that was.
Or well, or they had a really good um comp for if they were to be at objectives first, but then they spent the entire game not
Yeah,
setting up for
exactly.
anything.
they
Cause like,
they spent the whole time not doing objectives.
cause like if someone walks into Caitlyn traps, and then if they get past those, they have to get past gravity field,
Yeah,
and then if they get past that, Nara is probably going to go mega at that point, and then you're just fucked.
yeah. I think that at least like on paper it looks like a fairly good comp, but you know, I think a big disadvantage was that Fudge couldn't hit the really tanky point on Gnar that we saw Alfari hit because he was just constantly being doved. He was constantly just dead. And he was just so far behind. And I think that, I'm a little upset at Perks for just how he played kind of over the weekend in general. It felt like he was just really not in his head. My opinion is that you are one of the world class, like, you're one of the most decorated top laners in the game. You should not ever be playing like how he played over the weekend. He was playing like just so foolishly. He had no respect for any of the enemy teams. He was just pushing up way too far, making really poor choices. I don't understand how someone as decorated and as skilled as Perks is making these mistakes. And I think he shouldn't be doing that. And the fact that he did, I think makes it, at least for me, a tiny bit concerning when it comes to how we're going to do for the remainder of, I guess, this split, quote unquote, and then the tournament to decide who goes to MSI.
I agree with you partially. Like, somebody said in our Discord chat, like, oh no, it looks like it's happening again, and then you just like auto knew that he was talking about Sun Armor split
Yeah.
last year, and I do think the Team Liquid game was kind of like that, but the TSM game was a completely different an amount of egregious. Like, I will say that getting picked off and such, as bad as what they did, like, that is a very teachable thing that I think once it happens, like, once or twice, you go over it in game review over the week. Like, I think that's a mistake that is less repeatable. Like, outside of the Azir one-on-one with Gnar, which was
That was really stupid.
bizarre. Outside of that, like, he played fine. It was just like the fact that he was just getting picked off, and I'm hoping that losing both those games, it was like, oh shit, like, I need to, like, take this seriously, because nobody wants to lose to either of those teams when we're supposed to be this good.
No, I agree. I think, to be fair, it was only one bad weekend. I think up until now, and it could be I want to trust the team and say, like, oh, well, we're just experimenting. We just wanted to try some new stuff because we already locked in playoffs. Where we were 11-2 going into those last two before those last two matches, so they were maybe just feeling really comfortable with whatever they chose and just hoping it would work out. If this is going to be a really interesting point now for Reignover as coach, because this is his first week where he went negative in terms of performance, and there were a lot of teachable moments and a lot of things that we kind of could probably have learned from those games. So now it's going to be, can Reignover and Mithy and the other two coaches kind of be like, okay, now let's get the team together. Let's really look over the film. Let's figure out what we did wrong. Let's figure out what we can do better next time, and come together as a team and agree on how we're going to improve, and, not just completely implode like we did in the spring, where, we had a couple bad losses and then it's like, well, season's over now. I hope that we can come together, and I think that's really going to be a test of Reignover's, sort of like coaching ability as the head coach.
Yeah, and I feel like the biggest thing that he needs to deal with is just like the mentality behind the players, because sometimes they just seem to get so, like, caught up inside like their own, like, ego in heads and such, that it's a bit problematic. But I think the biggest issue this weekend was Blabber just played like absolute garbage.
Yeah, he was not impactful at all. He was just not doing anything past, the lane phase. When it came to like 15-ish minutes, he was just kind of just doing whatever, not really helping impact the game very much. As far as the ego thing, I think that it's somewhat understandable when you're 11-2. I think at a certain point, I think everyone kind of gets a little bit cocky, and they're just like, well, look, we're 11-2. Plus, we beat TSM the first time we played them in this regular season. Our Team Liquid match was our Team Liquid matches in the past have been close. We can definitely go over the hump this time. We're going to try something new that I don't think that they expected the Caitlyn lane at all, and to their, I guess, their benefit up until they lost. The Caitlyn lane was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. It was smashing early game. Sven got a really big CS lead, and they were rotating around the map to take out turrets. But there was, the wagon kind of had its wheels come off, and then it kind of failed. So, hopefully they don't worry about this too much. Hopefully they can at least understand the mistakes that they made and everything, and then come back stronger. Luckily for them, this weekend is really easy. Friday, March 12th, we play CLG at 6 p.m. Eastern. Saturday, March 13th, is Dignitas at 5 p.m.
Second place Dignitas, that is.
What, I'm sorry?
Dig is second place right now.
That is true. And Immortals is March 14th at 8 p.m. I think the Dignitas game is going to be our only tough game. CLG and Immortals is easily beatable. I think that maybe the only issue with Dignitas is since we manhandled them so badly in our first game against them in the regular season, we may get too comfortable and rest on that when Dignitas is playing really well. I really like what Dignitas has done with this roster to really come together and assemble just some really good guys that are, they kind of have this greater than the sum of their parts kind of vibe going, and it just feels really refreshing, to kind of watch them and just be like, yeah, look at them go, look at Dardoch, look at Neo, look at Fake God, look at Soligo. No one really counted on these players to really come through and make like a really strong roster, but they came together and they are. So it's really entertaining to watch them play. I'm hoping that we have a really good game plan for Dignitas. I think the angle is probably just going to be make sure Dardoch doesn't get a pick that's too impactful, and try to just get your bottom, strong half of the map really fed and in a comfortable spot.
Yeah, and I think that we're just better than them, like from lane to lane. So while I do think that they've been like the field good story, like we destroyed them last time.
Yeah.
We played them, and I would expect us to do the same this time. If we slip up, there's a chance that we could fall out of first place this weekend, and I'm not exactly sure where like the quote unquote ideal place to finish is, because
I don't know
like
how the bracket
fourth.
matchups work.
Yeah, so first place fourth, second place third, and I think the main thing is to just try and avoid TSM and Team Liquid, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a rough situation. I think also you could maybe see the CLG and Immortals games as like trap games a little bit. So hopefully, we don't lose focus on those games either. I think that we can go 3-0. I think this is definitely a 3-0able weekend. Especially if we've kind of shook off how we lost.
I mean, at every weekend's a 3-0 weekend, because like we're so much better than almost every team, and like the other teams like Team Liquid and TSM, like we should be able to beat them.
Yeah.
And that's why last weekend was especially disappointing, but it'd be like that sometimes. The best of fives are going to be the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
But I don't think we can fall out of the top four this weekend, and I think our main objective is just top four at this point. And I think
I agree.
Got that. So I guess the best matchup that we could get would be 100 Thieves or Dig for the playoffs, but I probably wouldn't consider that really all that likely. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to add. Do you have anything?
No. I guess if we're gonna do more experimental comps, I would like to see Perks play Rumble mid.
That'd be pretty interesting.
Captain Shrimps can come up and show him how to do it.
That'd be pretty neat. I'd like that. I'd really like to see Sven play more Tristana. I think Tristana's a better AD carry than Caitlyn, because she does kind of what Caitlyn does in terms of like knocking down objectives and towers really quickly. While she has a better 5v5. You know, she can fight in team fights a lot better than Caitlyn, which we're going to be doing a lot. And I think that if you're going to be doing that, you really need to put your AD carry on something that can actively team fight, better. So I think that putting Sven on something like Tristana would probably be the better way to go than how we've kind of been doing things.
Yeah, or even playing it mid is fine with me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, can we give a shout out to our former Cloud9 boy, Magical, please?
Oh yeah, we totally can.
He's been doing LCK or LPL, sorry, and he's been casting the Giant Slayer Gauntlet all by himself, and he's doing that right now. And I think he has our game too. So, even though this is past tense for you, tune in for all of his games, because it took him a year or two to get up there, but he's killing it.
Yeah, I'm really happy he's able to get some really nice casting gigs going, and he also did the LPL too,
yeah,
I believe.
I think he's just doing that, or I'm not sure if he was filling in or if he's doing it part time. But that's a hell of a schedule, like doing LPL from like 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. our time, so midnight to 5 maybe for him. And then waking up and doing Giant Slayer Gauntlet from like 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. for him.
Yeah.
Not ideal, but or what was that Cloud's name from the?
It was Paul, I think.
Paul,
I think, was the angry one.
Or the Cloud?
It was a Cloud.
And it was named Paul?
Yeah.
Oh.
One was Paul, and the other one was... I can't remember the other one.
I wonder if I can find that, because I want to tweet at him and ask if he can bring back Paul.
Yes.
So, I'm going to log in and do that after we are done recording.
Yeah, do it.
But since we are done recording, I can go do that right about now.
Yep. Be sure to follow us at C9 Bodied on Twitter. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you later.
Yep. Bye, guys.